One of the things I love to do when I'm at Computex is sort of look for and feature neat and custom builds. Obviously, when you get all the world's most renowned case modders in one place, these are the types of builds you end up with. So why don't you guys walk through with me right now and take a quick tour of some of these really cool and unique builds that are on display here at Computex 26.
Computex 2026 coverage is proudly sponsored by Phanteks, with support from Asus ROG, NZXT, Haven, and Cooler Master helping us bring you wall-to-wall coverage direct from Taipei.
Okay, so one of the reasons why you're seeing all this LN2 here is this is also the G-Skill booth, and they are doing like RAM overclocking and stuff. So this is by ShaggySVK. This is basically a rocket-themed PC, but as you can see, it's all LN2 cooled. And the reason why they have so many tanks right now hooked up to just this PC is it is sitting here constantly using ultra low temperature solenoids to control the LN2 flowing through the CPU. So it kind of reminds me of the, what was it, they call it Kingpin called it RoboClocker back in the day when he did the EVGA project. So the difference with that though, is I think this one might also be capturing the flow through LN2, which would make it last quite a while. So that's a pretty interesting, unique. Elmore Labs is obviously involved, as you can see right there. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, Shaggy really kind of pulled out all the stops. Condensation on this build obviously is a problem. So look at this guy over here. This is very like Matrix themed right here. So you can see this looks very much like one of the squids. There's a PC in there somewhere. If you don't believe me, it's right there. You can see the fans and stuff. So, but this is like, the PC is the smallest portions represented in this. Who was this one by? Oh, WMP did this one. So you can see the specs. You know, the specs really don't matter. It's a 265K, it's a 570 Ti. It is about the fabrication they did to make this. I don't know if this is 3D printed or not. Clearly it's got motors in there because you can see the spinning drill right there. You got all the eyes. You got CPU block up here, so it's clearly an ITX build. You've got the ITX motherboard right up here. You got all the different tubes and such. You look down here on the bottom, we've got some distro plates that are built in down there. We got the pump right there. Trying to figure out where the radiators are. Oh, there's the rad right there. So basically the main body, which is what I showed you earlier, is the rad. So yeah, that's a crazy build. So by contrast, this one here by Modding Cafe looks pretty tame. Bit more high-end hardware versus the WMP build, like 9800X3D, it's got a 5080, etc. But again, these builds are not about the specs, they're about the mods. So again, another ITX build, which you'll see, a lot of these really custom ones tend to be ITX because they're obviously easier to fit. We've got custom-made distro plates and stuff right here with a flow meter built in. Obviously, it's got the Trident Royal RAM. But this is obviously like a hammerhead shark type of a theme. So you can see they've got some solenoids and motors that are making the tail wag. You can see the actual gearing for that right here. So crazy, crazy stuff. The radiators are all the way down here. So the stand also doubles as the tubing. So you got the stand in the center with this pedestal. You got the tubing flanking on either side, and then we have the, surprising, it's only two 120 radiators, but I guess the only thing they're water cooling here, where is the GPU? So we got the power supply right there in like the main body, we got the CPU right here. I haven't found the GPU. Where is the GPU? Huh. It says it's got a 5080, it's right there, otherwise I would have thought maybe they just did iGPU on this, but all right, well, there's a GPU in there somewhere. Anyway, moving on. This is from TechLinMod. You can see this one is a much more kind of a bubbly, looks like a vending machine type of build. We've got some custom fabrication, obviously, to make this happen. You got the little dispenser balls right there. You've got some animation here on the, which I believe to be a Trix. I could be wrong. I believe that's a Trix cooler, Trix Panorama. But you can see you got the coin slot right there, not to be confused with the butt slot. You can see you got the display of what the prizes are that you could win on the front. Little heart kind of bouncing around right there. So this one obviously is the kind of build that I think my daughters would be like, oh my God, I need this build. But I don't think they would take care of it like they should. Okay, moving on here, we have an automotive themed build. This one's coming to us by JPModified. So you can see this one clearly is utilizing a real and a suspension. So think of this as like being a suspension component here. Again, another ITX build. This is not a real wheel though. They did a really good job of making it look like kind of like a TE37 sort of a style wheel. Maybe it's kind of interesting because it looks like it would almost be a center lock, but it's got 5 very small lug holes. But anyway, again, not a real wheel. They did a good job making me think it might have been one. ITX build inside of it, and they have an actual, what looks like potentially a real motorcycle suspension back in there. So this is a pretty neat setup, obviously very automotive, very JDM type of a style. In terms of specs, this one's featuring a 9800 X3D, 570 SFX, a 1000 watt power supply, etc. Okay, over here we got GGF. GGF is actually by Stuart Tonks. He is local to me, believe it or not. But I do firmly believe he has some of the cleanest traditional style mods that you'll find. I say traditional style because that's not traditional, that's not traditional, those are definitely not traditional. So seeing these types of builds are amazing. He does all of these like wire channel plates and stuff completely by hand. I asked him once like how he does all these block off plates, like does he have like a laser machine, laser cutter or anything? He said no, he just does it by hand with acrylic and ABS sheets and stuff, which is kind of crazy to me. So this is his build right here. I think he's done an absolutely amazing job. Let's see what specs he chose. Oh yeah, of course, this is a very Stuart Tonks thing to do. 9950 X3D, a 5090, 1200 watt, 2 terabyte Crucial. Yeah, so he was just like, what he makes up for in not having that level of like manufacturing, he makes up for like so far specs wise. This is the highest spec PC we've taken a look at here so far. But this is a very classy white and red type of build. Obviously, it's an ROG themed build. It's got a crosshair board. I'm assuming it's going to be, it's an Astral White, which is kind of funny. Doesn't really matter considering the fact that he's got a different block on there. So it doesn't matter what color the card was, but he's got the ROG power supply there with the live readout. So Stuart, if you're watching, good job, man. Looks freaking amazing. Okay, moving over here, we got SkatterBencher. This is a more open frame style build, air-cooled, Astral card right there. We've got a bench lab. So if you can't see in the back, right there, you can kind of see in the corner. This is based on an open bench table, which is what we use for our test benches and such. But he's got what looks to be some 3D printed Raspberry Pi screen type shrouds. We got a vertical mounted AIO right there, which is kind of hard to see, but if we look right in, where is it? It's kind of, where? Camera work. It's kind of hard to see. There is a bracket holding that AIO up. It is not just sitting there loosely kind of flopping around like that. It is actually mounted. I would reach up there and show you that, but they say don't touch it. Specs wise, 9850 X3D and a 5090D Astral. So this is a Dragon Edition card, which means it is a China market, non-US market. And then we have KM over here, which is, you can see we've got first Intel build. It's a 14900K 5070 XT GPU. So this is clearly not about the speed of the system, but more or less the cleanliness of the loops and such involved. So you can see we got all bent gold tubing. We've got the Bits Power gold fittings, and it's all very, very clean. And obviously the MSI graphics card is matching the aesthetic there with it being a gold graphics card. But again, another take on an open bench lab, or open bench table, excuse me, and it's mounted to a monitor arm, as you can see. So yeah, it's got kind of a floating system here, Bits Power flow meter on the bottom, so it's actually looking really good. And then in collaboration, there's also Poppyka. I'm not sure about this, I don't even met this modder before, but this very lion theme. It's kind of crazy. So you can see we got the GPU remote mounted down here. This is not an ITX build like most of the others are, so this is kind of EATX build, but they've got this really awesome bronze look patinaed lion right here, which, where are the radiators? Okay, radiators and distro plate are on the back, so this is actually really neat because it's not just like a trophy or a statue, it's actually a pillar as well on the back right there. So radiators are mounted to the back, as you can see, and then obviously a lot of work has gone involved in making this. It's like the PC is totally secondary to everything else that it's attached to. So that is, yeah, that's a lot of work right there. And then there's this, InWin never disappoints when it comes to WTF is that, right? So I don't speak Greek or like Roman Greek numerals, whatever. This is the Aeon, I don't know. So this thing is actually motorized. You can see the arms right there. It's not moving. I'm not sure how to make it move, but it does fold up and close. So it's a pretty standard type of build in terms of the components and stuff. You can see it's got a FE card in there. It's a 5080 based on the color. Yep, 5080. And we've got our, not really a distro plate, just more or less a reservoir on the side right there. Reminds me of like the FL360 type res from EK type of deal. Looks like we have, is that bits power? Potentially bits power radiator. Not sure how to make it close, but this thing does actually like fold up, motorized and close like that. So this is really interesting and unique. But when it comes to interesting cases and such, we have this mirrored case. There I am right there. This is the kind of stuff I have always looked for at the InWin booth. You can see right there, it's got the I/O and stuff on the top. It's all glass. It kind of reminds me of what would feel like a potential evolution. I know you guys can't even tell this is a computer case because it looks like a mirror, but this is it right here. But it reminds me of like the Tau 2.0. Like this is like Tau 5.0 as far as I'm concerned. And we have another open chassis right here, as you can see. So kind of an angled top right there. It's got an AIO. This is, the build doesn't matter. It's just about the chassis. So you can see it's just a really interesting take on unique systems. Here's an ITX version of, I'm assuming that says, you guys can't really see it, but I'm assuming that says Air. So maybe that's a VO? I don't know. But yeah, and then here's a smaller version of kind of what's over on the side right there. But again, I am not disappointed by what I'm seeing from InWin's creative team, because these are very expensive, very difficult to manufacture type of case, and they're usually in very limited quantities. That's why the fact that I still have my D frame on display, I still have my S frame, the 928, the 925, there's a reason why I've always looked to InWin when it comes to doing these crazy types of builds.